Hi Gills, my name's Lisa Whitenack and I am a shark paleontologist and one of the scientists with the Gills Club. I was asked to talk to you today and make this video for your meeting since I'm all the way in Pennsylvania and you're not. So, like I said, I'm a shark paleontologist. Among other paleontological things that I do, I study crabs and snails, and I also study other fishes, but mostly I study sharks, and I really like to find out why their teeth evolved the way they did. Basically, sharks are made out of cartilage, right? So if you touch the bridge of your nose, that's the type of cartilage that a lot of the skeleton of sharks is made out of. And while it seems really hard when you touch it, right? It's not as tough as your bones, and there's not as many minerals in this type of cartilage as what's in your bones. So sharks don't actually fossilize very well, except for their teeth. Their teeth have lots of minerals in them, just like you do. They're made out of basically the same stuff that your teeth are made out of, too. So most of what we know about sharks in the fossil record almost entirely comes from their teeth, and those are actually the most common fossils for vertebrates, so things with backbones like you and me and fish and birds and reptiles and amphibians. Sharks' teeth are the most common fossils, not dinosaur bones. So while we have a lot of them, that's mostly what we have of fossil sharks, which have been around for over 400 million years. So sharks appear in the fossil record twice as long ago, almost, as dinosaurs did. So they're really, really old. So the Gills Club asked me to answer a couple questions, and you're going to see me looking off to the side because I have another computer screen that has my questions on it. But I wanted to answer those for you, and then I wanted to show you some really cool, really old shark fossils that you probably would be surprised to know that they're from shark teeth because they don't look anything like modern shark teeth. So the first question I was asked to answer is why I became interested in sharks. And honestly, I was interested in dinosaurs first. I've always loved dinosaurs, and when I was probably in about 4th or 5th grade, I started also reading about sharks. I don't know what it is about things with big teeth, but I was apparently really into them. And all through junior high or middle school and high school, I was reading about dinosaurs and reading about sharks. So one of my favorite books that I must have checked out of the library half a dozen times, just in junior high, was called 6 Gill, A Shark and Me. Or maybe it was 7 Gill, but it was about an aquarium shark worker and the relationship that he had with the sharks at the aquarium, and it was one of the only books my library had on sharks, so I read it over and over again. And I remember my grandmother had a Reader's Digest nature guide, and it had 2 pages on sharks. And I have that book now. She gave it to me when I was an adult, and those 2 pages are so worn out compared to the rest of the book that I remember looking at them over and over again. So it was just always something I thought was cool. And I never thought about making it a career until I got to college. I started off wanting to be a chemistry teacher for high school, and I saw that they had a paleontology class, and I was still really into dinosaurs. And so my goal was to take that paleontology class, but I had to take some geology classes first. So I did, and then I discovered I could really major in geology and paleontology, so I did that, still thinking I was going to work on dinosaurs. And my professor, who was the paleontologist, he worked on starfish paleontology, was going to have me work on that for research. And then our collaborator, so the person we worked with, had a whole box of fossils, and there were a bunch of old shark teeth in them. And the shark teeth were 350 million years old. And I'm going to hold one up. I don't know. Let's see if we can do that. There we go. So this is one of those shark teeth from my senior thesis from college. Here's another one. And as you can see, they don't look anything like the shark teeth we have now. We tend to think of those as triangles. And so these fossils, these are the exact same fossils I looked at during college. This is what got me interested in fossil sharks. And these teeth have been stuck in my head ever since. like I said, modern sharks don't have teeth like this, and I want to know how they work. So that's a lot of what my research is about, and how I got interested in finding out that I could be a shark paleontologist. How I chose the school to pursue that knowledge. It turns out there aren't a lot of us shark paleontologists. So I went to University of Illinois for college because, again, I thought I was going to be a chemistry high school teacher. And I grew up in Chicago, and so that was the best public school in Chicago, or in Illinois rather, so that's where I went. For my master's, I went to Michigan State, and like I said, since there's only a couple of us that work on shark paleontology at all, I didn't have a lot of choices for where I could go. So I went to Michigan State, and I worked with Mike Gottfried, who in the past had worked on megalodons, so those really, really big teeth. And instead, I worked on fossil makos and trying to figure out how many species we had. And I worked with modern mako teeth, too, to help figure that out. And then for my PhD, so for my doctorate, I ended up at the University of South Florida in Tampa, Florida. And I actually switched to biology for my PhD, even though my other degrees are in geology. And that's because paleontology is a lot of biology and geology together. So I wanted to make sure I had good training in both. And so I wanted to figure out why these teeth, why these were shaped the way they were. And Phil Moda, who is a shark biologist working with modern sharks, studies shark feeding, and he'd always wanted to study how teeth work. I wanted to study how teeth work, so it was a really good match. And so this is where my shark-related research is figuring out these really old teeth. So still trying to figure out how these work. I know a lot of the reasons for that they work very similarly to modern shark teeth, even though they're shaped very differently, which is very weird. But I've only kind of scratched the surface of that. So I'm coming back to these fossils again and looking at them again. I want to know more about what they're made out of, because that determines how hard the teeth are. There are a lot of other fossil chondrichthyans, so sharks, rays, and ratfish, or holocephalans, which are deep water mostly. No one's really looked at those in the fossil record in terms of figuring out how the teeth work, so those are kind of where my research is going. So those are also my goals for the future, and keep working on these shark teeth because they're just so fascinating. I mean, I graduated from college in 1999, and so it's been 16 years of me thinking about these same teeth, and there's still so much to do, and I'm really excited about that. Any advice for young girls interested in science? Just do it. Read everything that you can. Get outside. I spent a lot of time when I was a kid just wandering around the woods by my grandmother's house and fishing with my dad. And that's all been a tremendous influence on my decision to go into science. And, we can do anything. So, if someone tells you can't, just go out and do it better. Prove them wrong. So those are the questions I was asked to answer. I'm going to pick up the camera here, and I'm going to show you some of these fossils because they're really cool. I'm in my office right now. It's 8:30 in the morning, and the students aren't here yet, so this is a good quiet time to do this. I'm going to tip this down. All right, let's see if we can see this. All right, I'm going to turn the camera right side up. I suppose that would help. All right, so my trusty dinosaur ruler here. I still love dinosaurs even though I don't work on them. I've been on a dinosaur dig a couple of times, but I really do like the sharks. So this is Lotus. Okay, I'll try and get that in focus. Yeah, so this is partial. A lot of these teeth, these really old teeth, are not whole because they've been bouncing around outside for 300 million years. And so the weather and water and things like that really take their toll on them. But I did put a picture on my computer. This is what a whole Lotus tooth looks like. All right, so you can see it's got this big middle cusp and then all these little cusps on the side. This is just a picture, but it's about the same size as the tooth that I showed you. So you can kind of see there's that central cusp. That's the part of the tooth that we're looking at here. Okay. Here's two different kinds of teeth. And you can see this one, they kind of look like your molars right in the back. They're kind of blunt. They're not as pointy as that tooth. So I think what's happening is this tooth is from a shark that's eating softer prey, things like fish. Although this tooth can go through some harder prey like crabs and things. I've tested those out before. But I think these were eating even harder prey, things with really, really hard shells that they had to crack into. This one's really cool. Oh, I don't know if I can get this in focus or not. Maybe. Okay. So, this and this are not anything sharks. They look kind of like vertebrae, fish vertebrae or shark vertebrae at first, but these actually belong to relatives of starfish. These are called crinoids or sea lilies. They look like underwater plants, and these are the stem pieces of the stem. It's kind of like stacking up Cheerios on a pipe cleaner. This dark piece, this is a really tiny tooth, and I wish I could get this better in focus. I'm just using my webcam here. But base is down here, and then there are two prongs. So kind of like this, making a V with your finger. So the tooth looks like this, fossil tooth kind of looks like this, right? The left-handed cusp is broken. And it's really, really small, but you can kind of see the outline a little bit. All right. So that one, we don't know how it works. I have no idea. I've tested them, and they don't seem to be that much different from a lot of our other fossil teeth, especially Lotus, that big pointy one that I showed you. But a lot of these teeth are actually from freshwater sharks that lived 300 million years ago. And they actually look very similar in some ways to our modern frilled sharks, which have kind of a three-pronged tooth, like a trident. So this one, Xenocampus, has a two-pronged one, and sometimes it has a little tiny little cusp in the middle, and we really don't know what that's for. So even though we've known about these fossils for a long time, we're not really sure exactly how they work. So that's why we need more shark paleontologists to help me figure this out, because like I said, there's me and about 5 other people in the world that study this kind of stuff. So yeah, that's what I do in terms of my shark research. And I was going to show you around my office, but I really don't have anything exciting in there. In my lab, I don't have anything exciting in there right now either. But I thought I'd at least show you some of these fossils. So thanks for watching, and I hope you guys are having fun. And, you know, if you have any questions, you can email me, or you can Google me. I've got a web page, and my work email is up if you Google it. So thank you. Bye. Oops. Let's try to actually stop it.